So recording, and I'm going to get, as a way of getting started, I'm going to go ahead and see if you hold on here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everybody. So sharing screen. Let's go ahead and share the desktop. And hopefully everybody sees this. If you don't, please let me know. Whoops, I didn't want to show that. There we go, Meridian Brainstorm. Okay, so this is where we've left off. We've created all these pages up to lesson 10. Now in a lesson 11, we're adding navigation, which permits you, once you have published or uploaded your pages, to be able to navigate from one page to the next. So one of the first things that we want to do is we want to be able to create links up here on the nav bar so that we can go from one page to the next. So for right now, I believe I'm on Green News. If I click on About Us, no, that was About Us. So let's go to Green Tips. That takes us to the Green Tips page. If I go to let's go to About Us, that takes us here. If I go to, wait a minute, is there a question here? In chat, hold on here. Is it possible if you refresh on the essentials for the main components for the last project? Yeah. Okay, Brian, so let me stop for a moment. Let me go ahead and stop sharing for a minute. And let me pause the, and I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. Share the desktop. And there we go. So these are the pages that we've already created. Now we want to link them together. So for example, if I click on the home page here, and I have this loaded up in the browser. If I click here, notice it says no page found. That's because we have not saved an index.html. That would be your home page. Okay, so if I back out of this, the only way I can do that is just hit the back button. Let's try the next one. Let's go to Green News. So here's the Green News page. This was from lesson 10. So we're linking to that. So the next one, remember when we did green events, that was lesson 9. We're going to reintroduce, and this is the hardest part of this lesson, we're going to reintroduce a drop-down menu. The drop-down menu was a part of the initial Bootstrap navigation bar, but we deleted it, and now we're going to insert one back in. And so when I click on event schedule, it goes to the schedule page. If I click here and I go to the class schedule, notice that it jumps down to the class schedule page. Now, if we go to Green Travel, we haven't created that page yet. That would be lesson 12. If we go to Green Tips, we did that in lesson 9 as well. So that jumps to that page. The contact page, there are a few things that we're adding to this one. In addition to the changing the links to the nav bar, we're adding email links. And I want to show you how you can turn, for example, photographs into links that go to other pages. If I click there, notice that it goes to that. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back out of there. So we can turn photographs into links. We can add email links. We can add anchor tags. And that's what we're doing with the events page. If I go to the event schedule and I scroll down, notice that we have a return to top. When we click that, it jumps back to the top of the page. And we also have added it down here, return to top, and it returns to the top of the page. If you're wondering from, let's say, green news, and we go to green events and we click on class schedule, why it jumps to the bottom of the page is, again, we're adding anchor tags to each of these pages as well, in addition to these return to top, so that we can go to specific regions in a page. So that's by and large what we're doing. I want to show you the structure of the links. I want to talk about that today. I also want to talk about the difference between internal and external hyperlinks, as well as relative and absolute links. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump to, let me do a new share. And I want to take you to the Dreamweaver. Here's the finished page here. Okay. And I need to take, and I'm going to do a new share again. And I want the whole page. So hopefully, well, let's just go to the desktop here. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see the whole page. And I have a number of panels that are open here that I need to move around so I can see what's going on. Okay, so to start with the structure of a link, I have the About Meridian Green Start open. And if I look, and I have it in split view, and if I look down here at the unordered list that we've used for our nav bar, okay, so here's the closing tag for the list items. Oh, wait a minute. Here's the unordered list. Here's the closing tag for the unordered list. And within that are each of the individual list items that are used for each one of these links. Now, if you look, what we have here is after the list item opening tag for that, we have an A link, or that's also known as the HTML element, okay? And then as we add reference to a hyperlink, then what we use here is an href, okay? So it's href equals, and then wherever it's supposed to go. In this particular instance, it would be index._finish.html. So that's the index page. That's the first one that would open. All right. So that starts with an href. This is in quotes. And then you'll also notice here that we have the word home. Home, in fact, is the link text, which is what is visible to the viewer. Then we have our closing tag for the A tag, and then we have the closing tag for the list item. Now you'll notice that when we look at these are all relative links because they are located inside our root folder. Later on today, hopefully today, and if not today, then on Thursday, I will show you how to create, instead of relative links, how to create absolute links, so that you can deep link to external websites. Another one would be if you look here for the drop-down. See, that's the class for that drop-down menu. And here's all the essential coding that goes with that. That's probably the most complex part. And as you add the drop-down menu, it will add this code for you, excuse me. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start by changing the links up here in the nav bar. Let's do that as a beginning. So what I want to do, actually, wait a minute, before we do, let me go to green. Let me go to, there's one that I wanted to show you. We don't have green travel. How about green news? Oh, wait, let's go back. You can't see that. Never mind. We'll get to it later. So in order to be able to edit these links, remember that this is a non-editable region. So what do we have to do? We have to go inside the template. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and open my green template, and that will enable me to change these links now. So now what I can do for home is, since we really don't have a home page, I will just make our About Us the home page. So if I do that, if I highlight that, I can highlight that like so. And you'll notice that I can add within this region here, and I'm going to replace this octothorpe with a link. And I can click here for the where it says to add the hyperlink, href, and I can click right there. Okay. And I can put that in. I can use an absolute link, or I can use a relative link. So that's what we have here. We already have these hrefs that have been added because we have the octothorpe. So now what I can do is I have to move some menus over here so I can see what I'm doing. And for example, one of the things that I can do, and I would probably prefer to do it from, I can do it from here, but I run the risk of misspelling something. So I'm going to switch from live view to design view. Okay, and I'm going to highlight home again. And now you'll notice at the bottom, I'm going to move the properties panel up here, is that we have a region here, a little section down here for link. And it starts with this little octothorpe that serves as a placeholder for this link. So what I can do over here is, let's see, I don't have an index.html, so I'm going to go ahead and save one in here. I'm going to make the About Us page the index.html. So I guess before I can do that, let's go back to About Us. That's the finished one. I'm going to go File, Save As. So I'm actually having two pages. And instead of About Us, I'm just going to name this one index.html. And I'm going to leave it inside the finished folder. So we have something that when we publish this, it will publish correctly, index. And we're actually having two pages kind of duplicating this, which you normally don't do. So I'll save that in there. Okay. So that's saved. So I do have an index.html. So my home page is normally the, as I said, that's normally your index.html. So let's switch back to design view. Let's make sure that I have my green styles template selected. I'm going to select home, highlight the text just by highlighting it. And then what I can do in the properties panel is that I have a number of ways of linking it. I can write in here, I get rid of that octothorpe, and I put in index.html. Okay. And I'm done. That's it. Another way of doing that would be to click on the folder. So if I click on this folder, it takes me into templates. I don't want that. I want to go into our finished folder. And now what I would do is I would select the index.html. I'm going to go ahead and select that. So notice what it's doing. It's selecting the, this is a little bit different than what I had. Okay. So I could instead, what if I want the other one instead? What I could do then instead is that I could, instead of using the folder, I can use this little target. And this is similar to how I showed you how you can link or swap out photographs in lesson 10. So what we can do is I can click and drag on here, and I can drag it over to index. Okay, and there we go. So that means when you see the dot dot and the forward slash, it means that it's inside the finished folder, forward slash, and then the file name is index.html. If I wanted this to go to another page, let's say I wanted to go to the tips page, if I click there, notice how it's changed again. These are all relative links. They're located inside our root folder. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and this is probably the easiest way to create a link. So I just go to the index page and I'm set to go. Now let's go ahead and we're going to highlight green news. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and use this little target here, and I'm going to go to the news page and highlight that. And notice that it goes to the finished folder. It goes to news finished, and we're good to go. If we want to link to these other pages, which is really what they want us to do in this lesson, we can do that. We can go to the About page. In fact, that's probably what I should have been doing all along, but I'm okay. The next one, let's go ahead and select the next one. Let's go to Green Events, okay? So let's click from down here, maybe, because we have, oh, no, okay, I've goofed. Because we haven't added the drop-down menu yet, so we can't do that. But anyway, let's go to the Contact Us, okay? And right now, I'm changing the template, okay? So if I go to Contact Us, then again, I can click down here, and I can drag to Contact Us. Finish. Okay, and the same with About Us. And we'll repeat that again and again and again. Okay, does anybody have any questions so far? Now I can go back to Live View. These have all been updated. And if I go to File, Save All, notice that it asks me if I want to update these files that have been linked to it. Okay, and normally we'd say yes. So that's the advantage of working with a template. That once I have updated the links for the template, it will update all of the other pages. So I don't want to do that now. So I'm going to go ahead and don't update just yet. And let's show you some other things here. So let's go back. Let me move out of the properties panel. And let's open up another page here. And let's move on to showing you how about the About Us. Let's try that. Or Contact Us. Oh, okay, there we go. So here's the Contact Us page. So how about adding links to email addresses? And that's what we have here. So if I click on this link, okay, and if I go back over to when it's published, it will take, if I have my email set up, it will ask me if I want to email this person. Well, how do you add that? And that's a little bit different kind of a link. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the start file, not the finished file. So this is Contact Us, right? Okay. So here's the start file right here. And you can see email Elaine at Greenstart. Well, what I can do is I can highlight the text. So I can go in here, and when it turns orange, I can highlight it. And I can add a link in one of two ways. I can go to Insert, and I can go to HTML. Okay, let me get that here. And what I want to do is I want to add an email link. Okay, and I want it not before, I want it nested in here. Okay, so I want it, the email to be, it's going to be the text that I've used, and it's email, it's elaine@greenstart.org. And when I click OK, you'll notice now that when I hover over the Elaine@Greenstart, it underlines and indicates to me, I get the little indication that this is now a link to an email. Another way to do that would be, instead, if you want to do this by hand, would be to highlight the text, and then in the properties panel, what I can do is here, type it in by hand, and to insert an email link, you put in mail to : and then you put in the email address. So for example, if hers is Elaine@greenstart.org, or if I wanted to use my own, it would be, for example, Kirk Miller Art @gmail.com. So that's how I would add an email link. Okay, mail to : / I got to make sure that it may not require this. I think it's just mail to : I don't think it needs a / it's just mail to, my mistake. Okay, so let me go ahead and save this for a minute here. And let me go and let's preview this in a browser. Real-time preview in Safari. And I may have to switch this. No. Okay. Can everybody still see? I have to be very cautious about bouncing from one window to another because then you won't be able to see. Anyway, that's the other way of doing that. So it's just mail to : and then put in the email address and you're fine. So you can do it one of two ways. So let's highlight that. Let's just get rid of that. Take me back to where I was. So far, all of these, the links that we created in the nav bar were relative links. But let's say we wanted to use an absolute link. So what we could do, for example, is we could open up another page here. Let's open up, which one? Events. Let's open up news. Okay. So for example, let's say I wanted to take where it says green buildings earn more, or maybe I have something in here that where I wanted to know about Meridian, where it was located. What I could do is I could highlight this, let's say about Meridian. And I wanted to give the location of Meridian. And I wanted to link it to Google Maps or something like that, or maybe I wanted to link it to my personal website. Then what I would have to do is put not the relative address, but the absolute address. So, you know, if you want a commentary for more about Meridian, and let's say I'm Meridian, I'll just highlight the word Meridian. And down here in the link, I'm going to put http : / and then I'll put my personal website, kmart66.com. And now, in addition to that, it will link to that, to my page when I publish it. However, it will replace this page with my page, the one that I just linked to. And I caution you that when you do link to an external website and you use an absolute link instead of a relative link, then my recommendation is to use what is called a target. So what I can do here is I can click here, and what I want to do is I want to select blank. And what that will do is it will open up a new window, or will open up a brand new tab if you're using tabs. And what that will tell the end user or the viewer of your website is that they are not on your website anymore, that you have deep linked, or you have created a link to an external website. And so there will be an extra tab that's opened up, or an extra brand new page that has been opened up. So that's what's important as well. Okay. So let's say, for example, also I wanted to maybe, let's go ahead and get rid of that. And also notice that it's changed up here. We have now, when I hover over that, it's become a link, a hyperlink to an external website. And you don't know when you have a link whether it's internal or external until you actually use it, typically. The other thing that we could do, for example, I said that you could also link a photograph to something else. So all you have to do is select the photograph. And by doing so, again, in the properties panel, you'll notice that you have an area here where you can add a link. If I leave it in this particular state, the entire photograph will become a link. But let's say I only want one select area to become a link. Then what I need to do is I need to switch from live view to design view. Okay, and when I do that, and I select the photograph, let's go ahead here. I need to go here inside the link. It's not here. There should be, I can create these little targets, and for whatever reason, they are not visible right now. Let me see why that is. There should be this little button down here. Maybe in the current version, they have removed those. It's quite possible that those have been removed now. You can't do that since we are using version 2020. But we used to be able to create little hot spots or hot buttons for links. So at the moment, until I determine otherwise, right now it would be this entire page. So if I wanted this page to go to a Google address, you know, a Google map, I could put that link in there. Or if I wanted to link it to a person's website or another page, I can do that there. And I need to know whether it's going to be an internal link, which would be a relative link, or an external one, which would be an absolute link. Put that in there. So that gets us started. And what I want you to do today is to go ahead and work on everything, all of the links that are that we need to do up to the point of adding, let's go to back to live view, of being able to create the drop-down menu for green events. And we will also add the anchor tags as well at that time. That's pretty much what I wanted to cover today. Do any of you have any questions or any comments? No? Let me go ahead and stop sharing for a moment. And I'm going to pause the recording.